Thank you for joining me. My name is Dr. Karmen Smith, and one of the things I've recognized as I've gotten older and I've had the ability to look back on my life and on my training, it's amazing, because I started out acting, and I took acting lessons, went to acting school at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and had a wonderful teacher, Stella Adler, when I came to LA, and just a lot of acting experience and teaching. As a matter of fact, that was my profession for many years. And then I went back to school, and my degree is in mental health research, and I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I was so interested in the brain, and I was particularly interested in why people do what they do, and why do they act a certain way, why do they have certain emotions, and people's character. And the first class that I took was abnormal psychology, and I was hooked. I didn't think I would fall in love with it as much as I did. And when I look back, I know that one of the reasons I became interested in acting and psychology and psychiatry was because I grew up in a dysfunctional family. And I was an observer and an empath. An empath is one that picks up on emotions that people are carrying around with them. Most people don't realize that everybody carries around an energy field, and that energy field is a large, think of it as a large circle around a person, and anybody that comes in contact with that circle can pick up on another person's energy, how they're feeling, what they're going through, and a little bit about their character and how their thoughts work. So I grew up with that ability. Now, at the time, I had no idea that that's what was happening to me. I felt that my emotions were really moody, because if my dad was in a bad mood, I would take on that energy field and I would begin to be in a bad mood. If I didn't want to go to my grandparents' house, it was because I could feel everybody's energy, and oftentimes it was negative. It was something that I didn't want to be around. I remember describing it recently that it was not only like I was carrying their weight on me, but it was also that that weight was coated in steel wool, so it just felt uncomfortable being around certain people. I couldn't verbalize it when I was younger, and so as a teen, it just seemed like I was oppositional, I was moody, I didn't want to do what the family did. As I got older, I recognized that I was an empath, and there were many people that had written about empaths, and I was able to pick up on some of that information and say, oh, that sounds really familiar. So now as an adult, and as a person that can look back on all of these things, I now see that as a gift, but there were times when I felt like it was more of a burden. I really began to shift my understanding about energy and was able to use it as a gift. In other words, I can tell and pick up on what people are feeling, but it doesn't have to impact me and have my emotions be changed by it, which is really a blessing. My other endeavor is not only in acting and psychology and psychiatry and social work and in the child welfare field, but there was a time when I really got the feeling and the inner message to be a metaphysical minister. So I went to school at the University of Metaphysics, and I learned and received my doctorate in divinity. This has really been a wonderful experience, because I can take all of this knowledge that I have about trauma and about working in the child welfare field, which I've done for 20 years, and also see the spiritual benefit of that, which has been amazing. This is also something that I'm going to be teaching you in this seminar, and that is that there are ways that we can use the acting techniques that I used over the years and learned. There are ways that we can understand emotions through psychology, and then the spiritual component, it is who we really are. In the child welfare field, I've run into and worked with a lot of children and adults that have experienced trauma, and that means abuse, neglect, loss, death, all of those things that really trigger us and make us believe that we're helpless and worthless and powerless. With psychology, I've learned that when you experience this trauma over time, it can result in a mental health issue where you can actually have a diagnosis. And some people treat that with medication and so on. Now the spirituality comes into play where I know who we truly are. We're amazing, powerful beings. And because we've experienced these events of loss or abuse, we believe that's who we are. And it makes us feel helpless. Well, that's not who we are. We're not helpless at all. We're not powerless. We are powerful beings. And we just need to be reminded of that. We were placed on this earth to be the powerful beings that we are. And because of these events, we've forgotten that. What the acting lessons, and Stella Adler always said, was use your imagination to be whatever you want to be. That your imagination is the most powerful tool that you have. And in acting, that is what you use. So let's say you've gone through trauma and you just feel like you are worthless. Can you imagine being powerful? Can you imagine what life would be if you didn't have the fears that you have? Can you see yourself just like a child plays with their imagination? They know that that car is not a real car, but they're on that floor and they're making those wheels go and they're having a glorious time because their imagination is filling in all the other stuff. Make it real for you with your imagination and watch your life soar. Your imagination can kickstart and can release all of those things that you hold on to. Just release it. Let your imagination tell you how powerful you are, how creative you are, how loved you are, even if you don't feel it inside right now. Imagine it. The reason I'm filming at the Star Trek convention, the reason that I came to watch all of these characters is that they imagine themselves as those characters. And when they imagine and they put on the costume and they have all the props, they become that character, and for a weekend, they can be what they love. And they have a great time doing it. What I suggest to you is come to the workshops, do the homework, do your own work, use your imagination, and be the most powerful being, because you are already. You are the one. So be sure to be the one.